Please bow your heads.
Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please give us the strength to serve all, to do what's right for the people of the community, what's right for our families, for ourselves, and to strive to make a better community. In your name, we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start our meeting tonight with a presentation from the RTA, which is short for the Rapid Transit Authority. And we have Sarah Binkowski as well as Michael Ford here tonight.
Sorry. Thank you for having us here tonight. We have a presentation for you on Gratiot, and I'm going to have Sarah present that to you in just a few minutes here. But I just wanted to provide some context. Along with this corridor, we're also working on two other corridor studies, the Michigan Avenue and the Woodward corridor avenue studies as well. And this is really part and parcel to a larger plan, a regional plan that we're working on that is really important to this region. Incorporates 4 counties, Washtenaw, Wayne, Macomb, and Oakland in the city of Detroit. And it's in a regional plan that will provide connections throughout the whole of the 4 counties in the city. We're working on that right now. We plan to come back out in January with some more actually meat on the bones to be able to demonstrate what we've heard over the last year. This is important to increase connections throughout. Other than just the corridor studies, we're talking about services within the neighborhoods, neighborhood to neighborhood, neighborhood to major trunk lines, airport service, more service on major routes as well, so we can really connect the region, better paratransit services so people can get not just within their area, but to other places within the region as well. So we're coming in with a comprehensive plan that really is a 20-year plan for the future with a 5-year implementation strategy that's really critically important. And Gratiot is just one of 3 corridors that we're working on, but it's part of a whole continuum, and I just wanted to make sure that was clear to folks because we've got a lot of projects going on. A lot of things are happening, but I want to be able to show the connection to everything. So we're really trying to connect the dots as far as the region is concerned. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
So Michael actually took a couple of my slides, so I'm going to quickly go through them. As he mentioned, the Regional Transit Authority was actually started back in 2012, but really started getting up and running in the last year. Michael is the CEO, and he has about 5 employees right now, so they're bearing a lot of burden trying to put all these plans together. So underneath the RTA, they're working with SMART, DDOT, the People Mover, as well as the Transit Authority out in Ann Arbor, which is called the RIDE. They're also coordinating with M1 Rail, which is building the streetcar in downtown Detroit. Michael's already mentioned the regional master plan, which is covering the whole 4 counties. And then each of the 3 corridor studies that are going on is part of the regional master plan. So there's Woodward Avenue, which goes from downtown Detroit all the way up to Pontiac. That's a 27-mile long corridor. Right now, bus rapid transit's already been chosen for that corridor. And they're starting a new phase in the next month where they're going to start doing the environmental review. And the Woodward study is about a year ahead of where we're at right now with Gratiot and Michigan Avenue studies. The Michigan Avenue study starts in downtown Detroit, goes all the way out to Ann Arbor, and has a connection to the airport. Right now they're looking at commuter rail and bus rapid transit as their modes. And then the reason why we're here today is to talk to you about the Gratiot Avenue corridor study. Gratiot and Michigan are kind of running parallel in the studies, so we're on the same schedule. Our study started back in April, and we formed a steering committee of the 5 communities along the corridor. The corridor is about 23 miles long. It includes the communities of Detroit, and then Eastpointe, Roseville, Clinton Township, and Mount Clemens. And we have on our committees Mr. Duchesne, as well as Mayor Pixley, Cardi was really great and came on our bus tour a few months ago, so there's been a lot of involvement from Eastpointe. We meet monthly with our steering committee to give them updates and get feedback, show them where we're at, make sure that there's consensus along the way. So the whole point of the study is to look at what type of transit's out there right now, what type of transit we should have along the corridor, where we would have stations, and where we should put the transit within Gratiot Avenue. We hope to have a final report and recommendations in early spring, and then that will end up feeding into the master plan again. And then Michael can talk to you about kind of next steps after our study. So as I mentioned, we started in April. We had our first set of public meetings in May and June, where we went out and we asked people what they wanted to see for transit along the corridor. We came back in September and October and showed them some concepts for the corridor, which we're going to show to you tonight. We've been going out and having neighborhood meetings, community meetings, doing meetings with city councils. We were at Clinton Township last night at their township board meeting. We've been going to planning commissions. We were at the Eastpointe DDA, I believe, last week. So we're really trying to get feedback, letting people know about the project, also get feedback on the plan, because we don't want to get too far along and then find out that we didn't consider something that we should have considered. The RTA also has a Facebook page where they put out a lot of information, not only on this project, but their other projects, and they're using a tool called My Sidewalk, which does some polling as well. So we try to put out a poll every couple weeks asking people opinions on where we would put stations. So a couple weeks ago we had a questionnaire about station locations within Macomb County. This week we put out a questionnaire about where we should put station locations in Detroit. So one of the biggest reasons that we heard why we need rapid transit along the corridor is better mobility options. Right now, as you know, we have SMART and we have DDOT, but people were looking for more options that are more rapid options that are more competitive with the automobile. The other thing that we heard a lot was frequent and reliable one-seat service. Right now, the way that SMART operates is during the midday and the weekends. It doesn't run between Macomb County and Detroit. It stops at 8 Mile Road, so there's a lot of transfers that happen at 8 Mile Road. A huge thing that we heard from the communities when we've talked to city managers is economic development along the corridor. What we found with these rapid transit projects is that typically for every dollar spent, there's $4 that comes back to the community in either jobs, buildings, basically economic development. So that was something that we really heard for the corridor that is really desired for Gratiot Avenue. One thing that we've been hearing a lot lately, more than I expected, is retaining and attracting people of all ages. There's been a lot of concern about retaining the millennials and younger age groups within the corridor and within the region itself. And one option that the millennials like to look for is different transit options so that they don't have to spend their money on automobile. And then the last thing that really ties into the master plan is creating a system that is connected. If we just look at the spokes like Woodward and Gratiot in Michigan, we're not addressing how people get from those corridors to within the surrounding region. So we're also looking at how to improve other SMART and DDOT services where there's already service, but also where there may not be service. So from that, we created the evaluation criteria. A lot of these you can see is just what I talked about, reliability, frequency. We end up using this evaluation criteria to basically figure out what's really the best option for transit within the corridor. So one of the first things that we looked at earlier this year was different types of transit, and then we used the evaluation criteria to figure out which one was best for the corridor. So we looked at commuter rail, which actually isn't on the corridor. It's just 1 mile west near Groesbeck. We looked at express bus, which is already somewhat operating along the corridor. SMART has the 565, which operates in the morning and the evening. We also looked at bus rapid transit and premium bus rapid transit. In the next slide, I'll get into the differences between the two. We looked at streetcar, which is what is being built right now in downtown Detroit, and then also light rail. When we looked at these different types of transit and then basically used our evaluation criteria. What kind of came out on top is BRT and premium BRT. Streetcar and light rail kind of came in really close as well, but one thing that really kind of knocked those out was the cost factor. And that's really big in moving forward and kind of getting the region to pay for something like that. When we're looking at costs of streetcar and light rail and comparing that to BRT, it's about a third to at least a third of the cost, maybe half the cost. Within our area, it would be at least a third of the cost. So just to give you an idea, the cost of the streetcar that's being built in downtown is around $50 million a mile. What we're looking at for Gratiot Avenue with BRT, you can see anywhere from like $2 million a mile up to like $11 to $15 million a mile. So a lot less than the streetcar. So what is BRT? A lot of people ask us what this is. What I like to say is it's like light rail on wheels. So if you've been to other areas that has light rail, it's a lot like that, except for it's on rubber wheels. You would end up doing level boarding. You would have station locations, a lot like light rail. So when the vehicle comes up, you would just walk onto the vehicle, which is the level boarding. You would have pre-boarding ticketing, so you wouldn't be fumbling for change as you get onto the vehicle. You would buy your ticket beforehand, and then as the vehicle gets there, you would just walk on. You would have priority at traffic signals, which means if the vehicle's approaching a red light, it would ask that signal to basically try to turn green so it didn't have to stop at the signal. Or if it's green and it's about ready to turn red, it will tell the signal, hey, I'm coming, keep green for me so that we don't have to stop. And the big thing with BRT is that, and the big difference between regular BRT and premium BRT is the dedicated or bus-only lanes. So once we get into the big difference between regular BRT and premium is premium has the dedicated or bus-only lanes. They have more priority at traffic signals. The stations are a lot more elaborate with the premium BRT than with regular BRT. If you've been out in Grand Rapids, they have the first BRT within the state, and it's called the Silver Line. Theirs is more of a regular BRT. It kind of runs on the side of the road. It's mixed in more with traffic if you've been in Grand Rapids. So like I said, where we're at in the process is we're determining station locations. We're showing people what it would look like within the roadway. And we're also getting feedback about alignments within Mount Clemens, which I'll go through pretty quickly. We really like to get feedback about the station locations and everything we're showing you tonight, which is why we're going out to the communities to get this feedback and why we're doing it now. So there's different ways that we can put the BRT within the corridor. There's what we're calling side running, which is where the buses are running right now, where SMART and DDOT are running. When we put the buses on the side, there's more conflicts with right-turning traffic, with the buses that are already there, so it becomes less reliable and it gets more mixed in with traffic. We're also looking at what's called center running. So there's two different ways you can do the center running. There's what's called left lane running, and then there's median running. And we put together some visuals so it's easier to see better than what's up here. So right now, this is what Gratiot Avenue looks like near Mack Avenue as you're driving down towards Detroit. So this is what it would look like if we were running the right lane or the curb running. This is more of that regular BRT. There's not a whole lot of improvements to infrastructure, so it's a lower cost. When we start putting the BRT in the middle, this is that left lane running. So it has a little bit more conflicts with the left turns, but you still get that feeling of more premium BRT. So it kind of has that more dedicated lanes. You only get the interactions with the left turning vehicles, so you don't have interaction with all the driveways and the buses. And then you have the stations would be located in the middle. And then the median center running, it would be basically right down the middle. There wouldn't be any interactions with the left-turning vehicles at all. And you can have what's shown here as kind of a split platform, or you can have a station that's a center platform that's shared.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
For that median edge one, the middle one, or the one before that, that one, the center running left lane, how would you get into the bus? Don't you usually get on the bus on the right side? That'd be in the middle?
It would be on the left side. So you can see the station that's kind of going towards Detroit.
Right.
That's how you would get on the bus. So you would have doors on both sides. So you wouldn't just have doors on the right. You would have doors on the left and the right.
And that wouldn't be some special sort of bus? Those are pretty, because I was looking at all the smart bus pictures. It looks like they're all right side. There were no left, so I was wondering about that.
I mean, they cost a little bit more to have that, but they're more flexible. So you can
Okay.
have stations in different locations.
Right, sure.
But when you basically go ahead and order it, and that's part of the capital cost. But any kind of vehicle that we order, we have to basically, it's kind of a special order vehicle. So
Okay.
Another quick question on the left lane running, or excuse me, the right lane running, before that, what do they do with snow removal? They always push it to the curb.
right.
Bad news running a bus down there.
Right, and that becomes an issue that we end up addressing further down the line. In a lot of places, the snow removal, they might end up hauling it if there's not enough room. And that ends up going into the cost of operating and maintaining that. So that's something that the RTA would end up paying for. Like Macomb County they probably end up doing your snow removal right now along Gratiot. So the RTA would probably end up contracting with Macomb County to do that. So I'm kind of looking at Michael to make sure I'm not saying anything out of turn.
What about the Michigan turns?
Yes, so I'm going to get to that. So up in Macomb County, we have the Boulevard, which is it's really special to, obviously, our area and our state. So there's not a lot of places that have BRT with this instance. So it's been, we've been working a lot with the Michigan Department of Transportation on how to deal with the Michigan left turn. So I have some graphics here. I also have some other graphics at the end of my presentation that we can go into too that's even more detailed than this, because we get that question a lot. So this is what it would look like with the right lane running again. It would be on the edge of the road. You would have stations on each side of the roadway. This is the left lane running. So the way that we would do it is we would basically shave into the median, and you would still have 4 lanes of traffic on Gratiot Avenue, or 3 lanes as it is down here right in front of us. And you would end up having the stations within the middle, and you would enter and exit on the left side of the vehicle. So with the Michigan left here, you would end up kind of sharing that BRT lane for a little bit, and then you would merge and get into the left turn lane. So you just had to make sure that the BRT wasn't in the lane before you get there. So with the median, or the center running, it would run right down the middle of the median, and the left turns would be completely separated. So the way that the Michigan left would work is we would end up having, what we're discussing right now is having gates at each of the turnarounds, which is an added cost. We're also trying to look at different ways that we can look at it with signalization as well. So that's something that we're still discussing, but it's still feasible. So we're moving forward with that. The feedback that we've heard at our steering committee meetings so far is that the communities really like to keep their medians, and that's why we're coming out to see you tonight as well as others. So what we've heard is that this is more the preferable option in moving forward. But we're actually moving forward with all 3 of them as we're moving into our next tier of analysis. But we like to get feedback of what people are looking for. And that was one thing, that the major thing was people like to see the landscaping in the median. So that's one thing we've heard. We have several route options within and around Mount Clemens. We have 4 different options that we're looking at. 2 have kind of bubbled up to the top. So the first option is kind of the easy option. We would basically stay on Gratiot. Northbound BRT would be on northbound Gratiot. Southbound BRT would be on southbound. We would basically be going around downtown. There would be stations on each side of downtown, which is a downside that people would have to determine where the stations are at. With this option, there's no impact to parking. which becomes more important in the later options. So the second option is having the BRT on the northbound side and then having one lane of traffic on the northbound side, and that would be what we're calling neighborhood traffic. And then we would end up converting the southbound side to two-way traffic. This becomes more problematic with, with automobile traffic. It would end up working, but there would be a little bit more travel time. It wouldn't be complete gridlock, but there would be longer travel time for vehicles, as well as it might impact transit travel time. The nice thing about this option is that the BRT is all on one roadway, and there's one station, and it's close to downtown. The third option is a little bit of a flip-flop of the last option, is where we would look at BRT on the southbound side, so two-way BRT. Northbound would remain northbound, and southbound would remain southbound. The biggest issue with this option is that right now there's 3 lanes on southbound Gratiot, and we're talking about 4 lanes. So we probably end up needing right-of-way, which ends up, as you probably know, adding costs to the project. The nice thing, again, about this is there's no impact to traffic, probably a shorter transit travel time. There's not as much impact to traffic. The southbound isn't as heavy as the northbound can be. And again, there would only be one station. The last option that we're looking at is having the BRT run right down Main Street within downtown. The nice thing about this option is, again, it's all on one roadway. It's right within downtown. The one negative that would happen is probably a lot of the angle parking that happens downtown would end up being removed, and they would only have parking on one side of the street, and it would be parallel parking. So in meeting with Mount Clemens Planning Commission, and we met with Clinton Township Planning Commission a couple weeks ago, what we've gotten feedback from them so far is that they prefer this option as well as the first option. And we're going ahead and going to meet with the Mount Clemens DDA. They have a business forum that we're going to meet with, as well as the city council, which is a big thing. And the other route that we're looking at is within downtown Detroit. Obviously, this is a little bit more busy. There's a lot more going on. We still need to meet with some of the downtown partners to go through the routing options, but right now, what we're looking at is having it come down Gratiot and then head down Randolph Street, go near the Renaissance Center, so that there would be a station near the Renaissance Center. There'd be a station near Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. Then we would travel over Congress and Larned over near Cobo Hall, come up Washington is our preferred right now, and then ending at the Rosa Parks Transit Center. Another thing that we want to get feedback from you on is station locations. We've been going out, and within the last couple of weeks, we've gone on DDOT buses, and we've done surveys, basically asking people where they're coming from and where they're going to. We're going to hopefully engage in smart riders as well in the next couple of weeks. Right now we have station locations. I'll start north and go south at M59, where we're looking at a park and ride up there. At Sandpiper and Lake Point, which is up near Lance Cruise. Obviously downtown Mount Clemens. We're looking at South River Station, which is near the Clinton River. Metro Parkway, 15-mile road, and then Macomb Mall, 13-mile road. And typically we stay with like the mile stationing locations, and this is in order to keep it rapid. We don't want to have stations every half mile because that ends up slowing down the service. But once we get kind of south of Macomb, or actually south of 15-mile, we start looking at some of the half miles because we really start looking at where there's people that really live and where there's major employment centers or shopping centers that we really want to stop at. So Macomb Mall came up as one of those locations. We're also looking at 13-mile. Common was also one that came up. Downtown Roseville near Utica Junction. We were looking at 11-mile road. And then once we hit Eastpointe, 10-mile road and 9-mile and 8-mile. And then once we hit Detroit, 7-mile, McNichols, We also got some feedback about adding Van Dyke in as a station location, Outer Drive, Harper, Warren, Mac, Eastern Market, and then Brush, which is near the stadiums, and Greektown. And then within Detroit, I've already talked about the 3 other locations within downtown Detroit. One big thing, again, that we're looking at is park and ride locations. We know that that's critical in order to have park and rides, not at every station, but at the ones that make sense. And we also have to look at where those park and ride lots would be, because we need to identify those. We just can't make it a dot on the map. So some of our next steps, like I mentioned, we've been going out a lot to doing a lot of community meetings. We're evaluating all of these options to figure out what the ridership would be of the service, what the capital cost would be, which is the construction cost, and then also the operations and maintenance cost of each of these alternatives. So we have to weigh all those with each of these routes, especially within Mount Clemens. The station locations, we're looking at really the station locations that make sense. Are there some station locations that we put on there that shouldn't be on there? Are there other station locations that should be on there that we're not considering? So that's where we're really looking for feedback. And then, of course, we're looking at where it goes within the roadway. So if you have it on the side of the roadway, it's going to be less expensive. Once you kind of put it in the middle of the roadway, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So we're evaluating that right now. And then we hope in early 2016 to have the what's called the locally preferred alternative, and that's basically what we're recommending to move forward with. So we expect to have that in early 2016. One thing that I don't think I've mentioned is that this project is going really quickly. Normally these projects take about 1.5 to 2 years. We're doing it in less than a year. The reason why we're doing it so quickly is that Michael needs to know how to fund this, and I'm going to hand it back over to him because I'm going to let him talk more about the millage and funding, which I'm sure is questions that you all have. Before I step away, there's last thing I'll say is if you want more information on the project, of course you can ask Steve or the mayor or Cardi. We have a website. It's if you just go to rtamichigan.org. We have a page, but there's also information on the master plan in Michigan and Woodward as well, and there's Facebook and Twitter. So I'm going to let Michael talk about the funding because that's always a big question.
Yeah, just to put this in perspective, we have to create a plan, obviously, and the plan will then inform the funding. We need information from this project as well as the Michigan and Woodward projects, along with the other corridor studies that we're doing for rapid, not other corridor studies, but other infrastructures that we're looking at to make express services work well, along with the paratransit, along with neighborhood services, and working with our providers. That can't be overemphasized, working with SMART, DDOT, and making sure that we have a connective system where other services can be reallocated within the neighborhoods to make those neighborhoods effective and getting the service they need so they can focus on the major trunk lines and connecting to that. So once we get all that together, we'll be able to speak to the costs, along with the infrastructure costs, the capital costs over the next 5 to 20 years. So that's what we're working on right now. That information will be very clear, what you're getting, when it'll be delivered. All those are factors in our regional master plan that is, again, a 20-year plan with a five-year implementation strategy going forward. So again, we will have more information about the plan in early 16 with a funding association for that, whatever that millage amount will be. But again, we're looking at this as a whole region of connectivity. And I don't have more to say about funding right now until we have the plan more solidified.
Do you have even a goal for when the millage would be on the ballot?
Millage, yes. Obviously, she talked about us moving very quickly. So November 8th of 16 is when we're looking at. Again, the 3 corridor projects will have a lot more information that will feed into the plan and all the other connecting things. So basically this time next year, or November of next year, is where we're looking at right now.
Okay.
And obviously that's a big important time for us.
All of these drawings, it appears you're creating dedicated bus lanes, which means you're reducing vehicle lanes. Is that a true statement?
So within Macomb County, we're not looking at reducing any vehicle lanes. Right now within Detroit, we were looking at reducing vehicle lanes, but then we found that there's a lot of traffic on Gratiot in Detroit, particularly between Groesbeck and I-75. So now we're looking at options and how we can look at accommodating vehicular traffic and then also having dedicated BRT lanes. It's tight, so we're looking at it.
I did look at the study when it came out, and what I noticed was the rail line on Groesbeck was actually the highest volume and lowest cost. Why did you not go with that option?
With doing the commuter rail,
Yes.
that was one where to actually do, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, and that kind of goes back to that evaluation criteria. One was that economic development was one of those factors that we were looking at improving, and the way that it runs through a lot of industrial areas, that rail line does. We're also looking at accessibility, you know, where it's connecting with like employment centers and that sort of thing. The other issue that comes up with commuter rail that the RTA is finding out about, and also SEMCOG, is that who owns the rail line and what's going on it right now. It becomes a very, very complicated issue. Not that we shouldn't look at it, but we really did look at the commuter rail line along there, so.
Okay.
I had a question. Initially, when the concept of the RTA came out, the Regional Transit Authority, I thought that the idea was to bring together DDOT, SMART, and also the Washtenaw County, whatever you're calling that now, and put it together so that we're not adding an additional entity, that what we were doing was creating the RTA to coordinate all of those. So it sounds to me like DDOT is still going to continue to be, and SMART's going to continue to be. Is that right?
It's a coordination effort, though, too. I mean, they're going to still be offering levels of service. We're looking to enhance some of those levels of service, but also connect. I mean, the issue is connecting from whether it's 3 systems or 4 or 5 that you can make transfers or connections. But the other thing is we were looking to reduce the amount of transfers so you have more direct service. But to your point, it's all about trying to coordinate. Like right now, you can't get from Detroit to Ann Arbor by public transportation. So how do we make that work? So it's all about the coordination and working together and creating schedules and working with the scheduling people and the planning people to make sure that all the routes have this kind of symbiotic relationship working together. So we're the umbrella, but we're also looking at what we can do in terms of efficiencies. If we're successful next November, then everybody's in, so you don't have this kind of Swiss cheese approach to transportation in this region, and everybody's connected. Right now, we just don't have ways to get where we want to go from one place to another. So to your point, we are all working together. One example right now is this service expansion that we're doing as a result of this apportionment issue. DDOT, SMART, People Mover are getting together with us, and we're looking at what we can do in the short term to expand service over the next 3 years. So that's a coordination effort between DDOT, SMART, and us, and we'll be working with AATA and some other coordination activities.
Any other questions right now? I'm sure you'll be back.
Yes, we will, with a lot more detail, meat on the bones as well.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah and Mr. Ford.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Here.
Councilperson Lucido?
Here.
Councilperson Kleinfeld? Here. Councilperson Marion?
Here.
Mayor Pixley?
Here. And with that, we'll move to our first hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? Mr. Jakubiec.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Walt Jakubiec, Eastpointe resident. I got some real problems with this. If they do the right side, that eliminates all parking. That's going to hurt our businesses. If they do it in the center, all your Michigan lefts are going to go away. I wonder if they considered going up. I don't know. This is not, or just leave it the way it is and just add more bus service. I don't know. I see real problems with this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Mrs. Peak.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm also wondering what happens to the Gratiot and Woodward Cruise down the road. Anybody give that a thought? Okay, I have two things here to address. In the paper a while back, it was City Council at a meeting approved a 4-0 of a measure to propose city charter amendment on the ballot next year to change the city's finance director to save thousands of dollars for more lighting. Why does this go on the ballot when we are already paying for street lighting on our winter taxes that we never got a chance to vote on? Second thing is, I read in the paper about the police probe that separates shootings in Eastpointe. The shooting stemmed from an argument over property at a former recording studio. It said that the business hasn't had a business license with the city since 2012. Aren't you people checking those licenses on a regular basis? Is this the only company, or do we have a lot of them that are just going by the wayside? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Peak. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Sir? And please state your name.
Yeah, my name's Dave Chesney, and I'm a Roseville resident. I'm one of your neighbors in Roseville, and occasionally I come to the meetings here. Just want to say I am concerned, and I care about Eastpointe, also Roseville, all of the neighboring cities that make up South Macomb County. Just want to say, we all need to work together and band together because we all share the same problems and issues. But now this whole mass transit thing, I don't know if you remember, but way back in 1971, SMART, or no, it wasn't SMART then, it was called SEMTA, they tried to get together with DDOT, which was DSR then, to try to put together some type of a good suburban transit system. But for 40 years, they fought and bickered and never got there, and now people who take the SMART bus have to get off at 8 Mile to transfer to DDOT, which and hasn't really been dependable. And it's about time they just come up with a better, the system they got, the bus routes they have, just buy newer buses, keep it the way it is, and just improve the service. Because, you got a lot of people out here people that are working poor, people that are working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. A lot of them have cars. But what happens, they get 250, 300,000 miles on these 15, 20-year-old cars. They're breaking down. Transmissions, engine overhauls, major front-end work. They don't have the money to fix them, so what happens? They end up sitting in the backyard. Then they have to ride the bus to the store and to work and to the doctor's appointments. And just need a better bus system that they've been trying for 40 years. That's what we need in the metropolitan Detroit. It's and I'll tell you that M1 rail
You
project.
just have 30 seconds.
Okay, that M1 rail project. How many, it was $100 million they're spending for just 2.5 to 3 miles from the new center to downtown, when they could easily just have a bus
just a regular bus run that route, carry the same amount of people, but they're spending all this federal money on
Your
that
time is up.
when they could, get a better bus, improve the bus system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chesney. Does anyone else? Mr. Hogan?
I'm Dan Hogan. Not too long ago, we put together the Bill Sweeney stage at the Eastside Teen Outreach. I'm here to tell you that we're going to put on the first show there December 5th at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a Christmas show. It's called It's a Wonderful Life, the radio show. We're using the teens. We're also using actors that used to be with the Eastpointe Community Theater. And we're all coming together to do this, I hope, an incredible play. The kids are enjoying it. The adults are enjoying it. And we would love the city to come out and see us. I'm going to pass out flyers throughout the city. Tickets can be available at Clover Collision or through any of the cast members or through Eastside Teen Outreach. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. We'll move to the approval of the minutes, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the scheduled meeting in November the 9th.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the regular scheduled meeting of November 9th, 2015.
Support?
Move and support. Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. And the second item is the organizational meeting of November 9th, 2015. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the minutes of the organizational meeting on November 9th, 2015.
Do we have support?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings, no unfinished business tonight. We'll move into reports from administration, and we'll start with our city manager, Mr. Duchesne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in response to one of the questions, the charter ballot question that will be presented to the voters is to allow a different type of process in notification in the special assessment proceedings. The primary purpose is the street lighting assessment right now costs over $40-some thousand to publish in the paper in the manner it is. If we can utilize other alternatives of notice to the people, then we save that money going forward in the street lighting improvement program. So just a quick on that, there'll be much more information on this as we come forward. My second item tonight is, I think at this time, I'd like to introduce a guest we have, which is County Clerk Carmelo Sabo and Deputy County Clerk Todd Schmitz. Both here, of course, addressing our agenda item 7G, but if I may, Madam Mayor, call on them for a few comments of introduction.
Please.
It's a pleasure to have Macomb County's unique county in cooperation among its 27 cities, villages, and townships, and I think we have another example of that today with a fine department in the county clerk's office.
Thank you very much, and we're really happy to be here. I live in Warren, so I'm very interested in the South End, and Todd Schmitz lives right here in Eastpointe, longtime resident. And we were very pleasantly surprised when your city manager, Steve Duchesne, and the city finance director came to our office and asked if we would take on their birth records and their death records, which really, we were very happy to do that, and we want to commend them for bringing that to us. I think there's not very many births. There might be about 2 births and about 129 deaths per year. And so we're very happy to do that. We have, everything will be imaged. We send, the report, we do this anyhow when they send it to us, but now whenever you need anything from, anyone needs to get a death certificate, they can get it at the county clerk's office. And we really like to join services with the cities. I have also joined services with the state. We go into the Secretary of State's office and provide some of our services. We go to quite a few every month. We go to one of the Secretary of States, and then we also do a mobile office. So we're very happy to do this, and like I said, very thankful that they came forward, and we really give them a round of thanks for doing that. They're saving money, they're saving time, and even though it's not very much, it's still something that they had to do, and they can use that time to better service your community. And so I'll turn it over to Todd. He's got some information.
Just a few quick points. And I have lived in Eastpointe over 20 years. My wife and I, and we have 4 kids. We live over on Saxony. But a few points about how this will be good service for Eastpointe, where the county clerk is handling the birth and death records. One of which is Eastpointe residents don't have to come to Mount Clemens. Of course, you're welcome to do that, but you can get birth and death records online. And for Eastpointe residents who choose to come to the city, we're open Wednesday evenings. So Eastpointers no longer work just 9 to 5 jobs, and so if we want personal service at night, we're happy to do that. We're open till 7 o'clock in the evening. We also will provide overnight delivery. So if you absolutely positively need your birth record tomorrow and you don't want to come to the office, as long as the customer pays the cost, not the taxpayers, then we're happy to provide overnight delivery service to you as well. We also have some reduced fraud. We won't go into all the security measures, but the security paper and other things that we use is fraud resistant. And all Macomb County records can be authenticated online. So if you have a Macomb County record and you're trying to determine if it's valid, you can do that on our website. You can't do that at any other county, but you can do it here. And then two last points regarding death records, because there are some funeral homes in Eastpointe. One issue when somebody dies is you need that death record, and you need it quickly in order to make insurance claims or for widows to get veterans benefits. And so anything we can do to speed that will help the residents, and it's also an economic development issue. We participate in the state's electronic death record system, which means by switching to this system, not only are we being more efficient by consolidating services, but the funeral homes in Eastpointe will be able to submit their death records electronically, which means certified copies can get into the hands of Eastpointe residents more quickly so that those claims and other things can be done. So we're honored to be asked to participate in this, and we're looking forward to working with you. One final point is we're also bringing our mobile office to City Hall, and that'll be on Wednesday, December 9th, between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. So not only will Eastpointe residents be able to get birth and death record services, but any service the county clerk offers will be here giving personal service, whether it's concealed pistol license, business registration, and the other things that the county clerk's office does, such as copies of deeds, copies of mortgages, and things like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, I just wanted to say that for a long time, you've been doing the marriage records. Because as a person that does a lot of weddings, I know that the people go to the county, they get their license, and then I submit it back to the county. So that's one of the vital statistics that you've been doing for a long time.
That's correct, and we get approximately 35% of our marriage applications online now as well.
Really?
I filed online when I got married. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really happy too. Anything more efficiency in government, I'm all about, and this definitely seems like it'll be much more efficient, less redundancy, especially is nice when redundancy is unnecessary. So I'm happy to see this happen.
I'm very excited that you're coming out on December the 9th as well. We'll have to get the word out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the very pleasant reception and the good meetings we had. I'd also like to compliment Assistant Manager and Deputy Clerk Randy Altimus for kind of spearheading putting this together and doing the accounting, and Graduate Assistant Mike Woke, who worked with us in the county offices to get the fundamentals together on this. So by nature of that, I've taken enough time in the report, so if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. Otherwise, no other comments, Madam Mayor.
Anyone have questions for
I had
the city manager?
one question, Mr. Duchesne, about the library, the roof, the new roof, I thought was to have been completed already, and then I heard that possibly the mural was damaged on the building. Can you give a little more detail about that?
The contractor can't say actually how it happened. They did take a lot of preventative measures, but they did damage the mural in a couple of spots. one being approximately probably 6 by 8 inches, and another smaller one of that that'll have to be repaired at their cost. The roof, their last report that I had, and I can supply it for an update, but we were still on that schedule. They were waiting for final steel delivery and completion of that, but I expect that to be wrapped up with some kind of closure on this virtually anytime, and that was what was expected to be done. So I don't know of any other significant issues in the process, just the typical construction. I hate to say typical construction, but the routine construction issues outside of damage to the mural, and we've had pictures all over that, investigate all of that, so it'll be addressed. Unfortunately, it happened.
Okay, yeah, I was asking mainly, so hopefully it'll be all done by the winter, because
Oh, yeah.
of course the snow
Yeah.
was the main.
Yeah, or I'll be hanging somebody from it if it's not, because it should be done. It's really nothing to obstruct them from completing it in a timely manner now.
Anyone else have questions for Mr. Duchesne? Let's move on to our finance director, Mr. Plum.
So, Madam Mayor and Council, I wanted to address two items that are on the agenda tonight. The first one is the moving of the financial audit report. That has been necessitated by a new audit requirement this year for pension reporting. The accounting end of it's easy. It's getting the actuary to actually do the report correctly and get it to us in a timely manner. It's a whole new regulation. They've struggled with it a bit. It took them a lot longer to get us the report than we expected. And then when it did come in, there was a error, or an issue, I should say, with the way it was reported. And as of last Wednesday, when we met with Plant Moran, we still did not have a final answer on how it was going to be resolved. That didn't allow enough time for their group that does a review of all the reporting to have it ready by this Thursday to get it on for the meeting for the 24th. So it was agreed at that time that if we didn't get it resolved last Wednesday, that we were going to have to push the meeting. It's nothing that Plant Moran has done. It's nothing that Eastpointe Finance has done. It's just a matter of the getting the actual report here in a timely manner. The issue, excuse me, has been resolved, and we're moving forward this week. It just still is not going to be enough time for the original scheduled meeting.
Is this in relationship to the new GASB rule?
GASB 68 rules, right? Right.
And is the actuary that we're using, because all of our funds were transferred to MERS, is it the MERS actuary that was doing it, or is it the one
No.
that we use?
It's the Rodwin who, what they basically had to do is go back and restate the June 30th of 14 report in this new fashion. They've had a struggle with a few communities. We aren't the only one they have trouble with. This is really kind of a one-time event, because next year we will be using the MERS information, which will be as of January 1st of 16, and we'll have it in plenty of time before the year's up. It's just the timing has been unique this year. So, the other thing I wanted to mention is the delinquent special assessments. Every time that comes up, people want to know, how's it compare to last year? Actually went back a couple years. The weed billings in 13 were about 54,000. Last year it dropped 32, and this year was good growing season, and it's up to 91,000. A little bit higher than we would have anticipated, but it was just a lot more grass cutting activity. The miscellaneous bills have been fairly consistent. In 2013, it was 29,000. Last year was 28,000, and this year it's just shy of 30, so it's a fairly consistent number. And a lot of that is the dangerous building activity that we bill the property owners back and then collect it through the taxes. The big one is the water. In 2013, it was $1,184,000 that went on taxes. Last year, it was $994,000, and even with our rate increase, it's only up $6,000 over last year. So the payments have been, I mean, the number is fairly consistent, but with rate increases, it's actually, I would say, inflation adjusted, it's down. How's that? So the shut-off policy is actually working well to get people to get paid up and keep it off taxes. And that was all I had, so if you have any questions.
Any questions for the finance?
I had one quick question. I noticed the payroll seemed much higher than usual. Is that how dates are falling, or it's usually about 350,000 and it's 555,000 this time?
That includes the November 1st CPI payment, which is a once-a-year event.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Let's move on to our city attorney, Mr. Albrecht.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I just had two items this evening. The first being dangerous building hearings update. Yesterday, I participated in 8 dangerous building hearings here at City Hall. Initially, there were 11 that had been scheduled, but after receiving notice of the hearing, 3 of the property owners corrected the violations and brought their properties up to code. And the other item I had to report on was the Colonial Dodge case. I did appear in court last Thursday for an evidentiary hearing, and the court did grant our request for the full amount requested in the judgment. We now have to wait 21 days before we can enforce that judgment. I plan on scheduling a creditor's exam and moving forward to collect all of the monies from the defendant in that case. That's all I had for this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions the council members may have.
Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to new business, and we'll start with item A, which is the bid award for the 3-year demolition contract. We have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to award the 3-year demolition bid to the Faro Group out of Detroit, Michigan, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this bid award.
Support. Move and support. Questions, comments? Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Item B is the approval of the renewal of the telecommunications right-of-way permit for MISD. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the renewal of the telecommunications right-of-way permit for 10 years with a 5-year renewal to the Macomb Intermediate School District, MISD, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this permit.
Support.
Move and support.
Can we just talk about this for just a second so that folks know what this is? It's related to the Macomb Intermediate School District owning telecommunications lines used for 911, as far as I understand. Any other important details that we should, because it's not.
I think the important things to note is that under the Metro Act, statutes changed in the late 2000s to provide that the Metro Act requires permits, but the individual cities issue permits that deal with operation and construction in the rights of way, but it is fundamentally controlled by the state law in this case. What has happened and has been going on for years is that the pipe in the ground contains numerous fiber optics, and some are public service linking all the schools. I guess just briefly, people may not know, but MISD serves as a business hub, providing accounting, payroll, and numerous other services to all the school districts within the county. And under our streets and various places, we have all types of fiber optic cable transferring data in a secure element. So this is, obviously, they've had one for 15 years prior to this. This one will give them 10 plus 5 renewed at the option, and continues the relationship that we have. We manage the rights of way. We get funding only through the state act back after some very elaborate reporting and controls. We coordinate for construction purposes in the rights of way. And when I say rights of way a lot, it's the publicly owned land that everybody else uses to transfer data and materials and provide utilities through it. So that's a quick overview of it.
Thank you.
I can make it long and boring.
Oh, that was perfectly good.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
We have two items which authorize permission to collect the summer taxes. The first one is for the East Detroit Public Schools. Can I have a motion for that?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to authorize city administration to collect the 2016 East Detroit Public Schools summer taxes on behalf of the school district in accordance with MCL 380.1611 through and 380.1613, Section 1, with no expense charged to the school district.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. And the second one is the authorization to collect the 2016 summer taxes for the South Lake schools. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to authorize city administration to collect the 2016 South Lake Schools summer taxes on behalf of the school district in accordance with MCL Section 380.1611 et sec and 380.16131 with no expense charged to the school district.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Item E is the approval of the contract between the Police Officers Association of Michigan and the City of Eastpointe for 2015 to 2017. We have a motion on that.
I motion to approve the Police Officers Association of Michigan 2015 to 2017 collective bargaining agreement as presented and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this agreement.
Support.
Move and support. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Real quick, not any questions, but I thought after looking through this, it was very reasonable, fair, and glad that we can give some back now to our officers after so long of not being able to due to the housing crisis, economic crisis, whatever you would like to call it. And it's nice, of course, we can't give it all back at once, but I think this will be a very good agreement for both parties, and that is all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Item F is the authorization to add the delinquent water rubbish bills, the unpaid weed bills, debris removal, pest control, abatement, demolition, and sewer repair. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to authorize the finance director to place the following special assessments on the 2015 winter tax bills as follows. Unpaid weed bills totaling $91,431.90. Unpaid invoices related to debris removal, secured buildings, pest control, abatement and demolition, sewer repair totaling $29,891.70. And delinquent water and rubbish bills totaling $1,267.12 in accordance with the finance director's report dated November 17, 2015.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Item G is the adoption of resolution number 1802 to transfer of vital records to the county clerk. We have a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 1802, which approves the transfer of vital records, administration, and control to the Macomb County Clerk, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this transfer.
Do we have support?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Our next item is to reschedule the presentation of the annual financial report and the report of the independent auditors. And we have a date for December the 8th, 2015 at 6 p.m. So do we have a motion?
What was it again? 6 p.m., right, we said?
6 p.m. That's what, in the motion.
Well, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to reschedule the City Council's 2015 presentation of the annual financial report And report of the independent auditors for December 8th, 2015 at 6 PM.
We have
Support.
support? Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. And our last item under new business is to appoint a housing appointment, and this is the city manager's appointment with council approval, confirmation. We have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to confirm the city manager's appointment of Harvey Curley with a term to expire October 1st, 2020 to the Eastpointe Housing Authority.
Support.
Move and support it. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes.
2020 sounds so far away.
You can almost see it.
It'll only be. All right, and the last item here is the payroll and bills.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $1,795,324.36.
Support.
Move and support. Any question on any of these bills? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido.
Yes.
And with that, we'll move to the second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? Anyone wish to be heard? Mr. Chesney? Mr. Chesney, I'm not so sure. In the city of Eastpointe, we allow 3 minutes per each person at a, I don't know what they do in Roseville, so I just want to be sure you know. And we just indicate at the end of 30 when you have 30 seconds left.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Dave Chesney. Yeah, it's a good thing that you guys here in Eastpointe are doing like the abatements and the, like in Roseville, you know, they got the nuisance abatement. They've been taking property owners to court, make them clean up their property. I don't know if any of you guys have done it, but have you ever taken a ride down Redmond Avenue south of 8 Mile towards behind St. Jude, the old St. Jude church down there? And, you know, 20 years ago, it was such a beautiful neighborhood. Now it makes me sad to drive down there and see all the smashed and abandoned homes and vacant lots, you know. But when you come back over on the Eastpointe side on Ego and Juliana right off Cushing over there, it's like you're on a different planet. You know, it's like it's totally different. And that's because, well, one thing I believe is in for example, I read online today that Harper Woods is one of the top 10 most dangerous cities right now in Michigan. But look at what happened. It abuts Detroit in Wayne County. Same thing with Redford Township on the west side. It abuts Detroit in Wayne County. I think the best thing Eastpointe has going right now is north of 8 Mile. This is Macomb County. Things are handled a lot different over here than they are in Wayne County. So, like I have an aunt and uncle that live on Grove between Chesterfield and Forest. They've been there since 1951. They're 87 years old, and they have 10 years ago they could have moved up to their property in Sheboygan, but they decided no, their home's paid for. They're going to stay here in Eastpointe. You know, and they've seen some of the changes in their neighborhood in the last 10 years, but they're determined to stay, and that's what it's going to take. You know, a lot of people think, you know, running north of M59 is going to solve your problems with crime. No. It's all over. Look at that couple that got mugged in 19 and Shaner in their own garage. And now some people out there talk about, well, we got to move further north. It doesn't work out that way. Crime is everywhere. So we all must, you know, stand up for our homes and not move. I just want to say I care about this city. And Mr. Duchesne, you mentioned lighting. It's a good thing because, you know, if they can start getting more mid-block streetlights on some of these blocks in the city, it would really help. Drive down Samaru at night, there's lights on the corners, but all the mid-blocks, like towards Norton and 9, don't have no lights. It's really dark. So
You have 30 seconds.
So yeah, improved street lighting is a good idea, and like enforcement of the early people setting garbage out late or setting it out too early. I seen over on Springer, some people put out 30 bags of leaves, but they're in plastic bags. They don't pick them up,
Your time is up.
so that, it needs to be enforced. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard at this time? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed, and we move to mayor and council reports. We'll start with Mr. Kleinfeld tonight.
Madam Mayor, I don't have anything.
Ms. Lucido.
I just have a couple of library events coming up. Wednesday, November 18th is Pizza and Pages. And Monday at 2 p.m., they have movies for adults. And also on Tuesday, November 24th at 2 p.m. is the Adult Coloring Club. That's it.
All right, move to Mr. Marion.
Well, about the biggest thing to say, I'm acclimating to the position, getting used to reading a whole lot. I don't know if anybody saw this packet that we got,
That's about average.
but thank goodness the LASIK surgery's working well, so. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. DeMonico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And yeah, welcome again, Councilperson Lucido and Councilperson Marion. We got through our first full meeting there. I thought that went pretty well, so you guys already seem like pros here. And I'd just like to say, Deck the Halls, the Chambers event, Deck the Halls, was great as usual this past Wednesday. So many people were out. I love to see so many in the community out at one event. Thought it was a great event. If you have not been to it, come out. You got to buy some Christmas presents for folks next year when we have this. Bid on the auction items. They have a great professional auctioneer and everything. And actually, somehow he got $1,000 for the truck ride, the fire truck ride out in Roseville, I believe that was, yes. $1,000 for a family of 5 to to do that. So raise a lot of good money. They give money to charities for that event. Great event. And then, of course, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We'll have Thanksgiving before our next meeting. Hope everyone can spend a lot of time with their family and enjoy that time off. And then, of course, I'll mention again, Mr. Dan Hogan mentioned at Hearing of the Public about Eastside Teen Outreach's It's a Wonderful Life radio show. I recommend everyone get some tickets to that and go out to that. And, of course, the stage it will be on is for Mr. Sweeney. So come out, check it out. If you have not, I will definitely be there. I love the movie It's a Wonderful Life, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then again, just in case you missed it, yeah, Macomb County Clerks will be out here, like they said again, Wednesday, December 9th. That was at City Hall, correct, Madam Mayor? Yes, so at City Hall, December 9th, they'll be out here, the Macomb County Clerks. And that is all I had, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I would really like to extend a thank you, and I hope you'll pass it on to Ms. Sabaugh for coming out to Carmela and to bringing out her assistant. And I think she's really bent over backwards to work with the city of Eastpointe. And it's really nice to see the county clerk come out to one of the council meetings and do a presentation and answer our questions. That was very, very nice. And I have to say a few words about the RTA. We've been going to these meetings for about 6 months, and they've become very interesting. And I want it to be known that we don't always agree with everything that they do present, but it is up to the public that will be voting on whether the RTA is going to happen or not. So I encourage the public to come and listen to what they have to say and what they have to present, and to give your opinions. Because your opinions are what sway it. One of their community meetings recently, they had 3 people. Well, 3 people isn't the general public in the city. So it's really important that you get to these public meetings when you see them, and we will make sure that there will be more meetings so that everybody will have a good idea as to exactly what's going to happen. Right now, as you can tell from the presentation tonight, nothing is defined. Nothing is for real. I was a little bit disappointed. I thought, oh, this is going to be wonderful, like Mr. Chesney had mentioned, that you're going to get all of these groups together, and they're going to be talking together, and they're going to work together, and it's going to be a real benefit. And you can see that that's not exactly what's happening. So as these meetings come up, we're going to be sure that the general public knows. I hope that people on TV tonight have seen the program and you know that there is something going on, and just stay abreast and keep up with it. I will have to tell you, I have tickets here for everybody on council. These are a gift. I'm going to give each one of you a ticket, and I hope that you will come to see It's a Wonderful Life, because it's really, really been fun to work with the teens to put on this play. It's a little bit different to do a play like a radio show, and you have to hop up to the microphone and get it up there in time, and it's been fun. So this is fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It's great to see all the teens working together with a lot of the adults. And I don't have anything else except to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you eat a lot of turkey and have a good time with your families. So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion? Yes. Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
That's right, guys, here they come. Everybody gets one. My donation.